Hi Sagittarius, and welcome to your Spiritual Path Tarot reading for August 2019. This is for those of you who are very spiritually focused, walking a spiritual journey this lifetime, spiritually gifted, okay? I'm going to start this reading off by pulling a card for overall energy and message in regards to your spirituality, spiritual path, or spiritual gifts for August. So, Sagittarius, let's see. All right, so we have a mindful wisdom, create inner harmony. So, Sagittarius, this right here is the card of you see behind the shadow, through the darkness. You are incredibly wise, okay? And in August, it's important that you trust yourself and your vibes over everything else, because if you don't, you're gonna get really caught up in your head. You're gonna become over analyzing things, and you're going to find yourself in a big state of confusion, and in that energy it's very defeating. And so what I feel is your intuition, your inner knowing, your dreams, you just have this sense about something or someone, and you either you feel like you're crazy for thinking that it's something, or the other person involved is trying to manipulate things. But Sagittarius, in August, it's you just know. Trust yourself over everything else. So let's pull a card to see what this darkness is. I was pulling these to see what you're overcoming, but for your reading, Sagittarius, I feel like this is more talking about what you need to trust you about over, something else going on in your life. So let's see what comes out. Obsession. Okay, yep. Listen, Sagittarius, very important for you to quiet your mind, because this is what's going to happen is you're going to get very obsessive, over analyzing, stuck in your head, and it will distort your energy and cause you a lot of emotions that you wouldn't normally feel or have about this and other things. It's almost like this domino effect, okay? So I'm going to pull more cards, because this is by trusting yourself no matter what, Sagittarius, you prevent this energy right here, okay? So let's pull some more cards. And I'll tell you what, that obsession has shown up in so many readings. Okay, Reiki. Yep, energy balance is needed and required through August. Trust yourself, Sagittarius. And maybe this is talking about how leading up to August, you've been in this energy of just over-analyzing, really caught up in your head, overthinking things, because it's you can't validate, or you haven't had confirmation of what you've been sensing and feeling. August you will, and there's a balance that's going to be restored to your energy. So let's pull some more cards. All right, painful lessons. Ooh. And atonement. Okay, Sagittarius. I'm apt to say that this was leading into August, just based on these cards, and not so much what's playing out in August. And now here you are in August, and Sagittarius, I feel like they're with painful lessons there. That is speaking to you not listening to your intuition, ignoring maybe some red flags due to emotional attachment to a person, situation, or outcome. Okay, and you have experienced some setback or some heartache or some disillusionment, okay? And now as you're moving into August, there's a restoration and balance to your energy, okay? Some of you maybe going to get some Reiki would help you, or doing some meditation, all right? And as your energy like evens out and balances, you drop back into that, you know, wise self that you truly are, where you have all your senses about you and you just see things for what they truly are, okay? You're not confused anymore. There's no more over analyzing, and what you can't see and figure out, you're just deciding to let it be what it is. And in the acceptance of when it's time, you will come into the understanding of what it means, or any sort of like repeating pattern of behavior, okay? And I hear like music. I don't know where that's coming from, Sagittarius. I'm actually like closed up in a room. My windows are closed. It's got to be somebody outside that just really had it loud if you heard it. Yeah, it's still going, irritating. Anyways, with the atonement on the end there, Sagittarius, what I feel is like you are completing this cycle of learning to trust yourself. And the atonement is, you know, by not trusting yourself, all the issues and heartaches that you've encountered, you know, trying to, because man, I get it, like sometimes it's, you do feel crazy, or you're like, no, that's just so outlandish, or you know, something along those lines, and you just don't feel like that, you know, like it doesn't seem right, even though every part of you within is like, no, this is what it is, and you're just like externally or logically in your mind, you're like, no. And so I feel like you've been going through a lot of that, and maybe sometimes it's that, you know, you're feeling something and then you get caught up in your head, and then you lose sight of what your intuition was trying to tell you. So like you're losing faith in yourself. And so there's been a lot of lessons learned, Sagittarius, through this process that you've been going through, and it's all leading you to trust yourself, your soul, and stop getting caught up in your head and over analyzing and trying to consider every possible meaning, outcome, etc. It's like, no, when you are in a position, you know, in a life circumstance or in a relationship with somebody, and you know, it comes to that where you're now really stuck in your head and trying to overanalyze and you can't figure stuff out. Like, that's when you've got to remind yourself, okay, nope, I've got to pull back, I've got to get out of my head, and I've got to let spirit, I've got to let the universe show to me what's really going on here, because I've lost sight of that. You know, because sometimes when I feel intuition about something and I feel something, but I can't put my finger on it, I can't figure it out, I'll start over analyzing, okay? And it's very easy to do, and then, you know, by the end of that process, I've lost sight of what my intuition was trying to tell me, okay? I'll give you a really good example of this. I was supposed to do some things with some other people earlier in the year, and man, my intuition, my vibes, my soul was like, no, 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 no. And you know, everybody around me was like, oh, you know, maybe it's just you've got to like have more positive thinking. And so it's like it kept getting putting back on me, like I was being triggered and not successfully handling it, and like all these things. And then before you know it, I'm like in this balled up mess and questioning myself and no idea why I'm feeling what I'm feeling and thinking something's wrong with me. And then finally the breaking point came, and yeah, it just like everything crumbled down, and I'm like, nope, I can't do this. And even at that point, I still didn't understand why. I just knew the way that I was feeling was far too crazy. Well, fast forward a few weeks after that, and I had a really big tragedy take place in my family, which would have prevented me from following through with the plans anyways. But that to me taught me a huge lesson, because the whole way through, my soul was like, you're not going to do this. It's just not going to work out. You're not going to do this. And because I couldn't figure that out or understand why, I started thinking about all the things that I felt were wrong, you know, or off, or, you know, out of sync or something along those lines. And it just really screwed me up. And what I thought was wrong wasn't really what was wrong. It was, you know, my own soul trying to tell me, hey, there's something up ahead. And, you know, my daughter, she actually lost her baby. We were going to find out the gender of the baby, and she goes in and we find out the baby no longer has a heartbeat instead. And based on the measurement, he had probably passed 2 weeks prior. And it was just incredibly devastating for my entire family. And there was just like no way. And Spirit is not going to tell, well, I've asked Spirit not to tell me about stuff like that. Like, I don't want mental or emotional preparation for that stuff. Like, I just don't want to know it. But I will say, right around the time he passed, I did have a dream that she miscarried the baby. But when I woke up that morning, everything was fine. She was fine. And then days passed and nothing. So I really just thought, okay, that was just a weird, bad dream. And, you know, symbolism about everything that's just happened to me. And nope, that was little Peanut letting me know, soul to soul. And my, you know, human self, my conscious mind, didn't properly process that. And then, you know, 2 weeks later, it is what it is. And now I could talk about it without like freaking out. But Sagittarius, I share that with you just to show you how you can be feeling something intuitively and really care about the people attached to that, and you want to be wrong, you know, because what you're feeling isn't like what you want to feel, so you want to be wrong, so you put it on yourself, and then it just turns into like this huge big mess, a big painful lesson, when in the end eventually the truth will be revealed. And you know, other than like the loss that my family suffered, there was other factors involved that I couldn't properly decipher at the time. But now in this place, I can look back and I just see it all so clearly, and I'm like, oh, Spirit, you had my back, and that could have turned out so much worse for me. But Sagittarius, when you're feeling that intuition and you can't put your finger on it, instead of like trying to figure it out or look for signs and synchronicities, you have to just say, Spirit, I don't understand. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't get this. No matter how, you know, precise and accurate you are in general, when you're in that place, ask Spirit and then just wait and say, Spirit, give me a big bold sign that I cannot miss, that is going to be clear as day of yes or no, this or that, so that I can understand what you're trying to tell me. You know, because had I done that, Sagittarius, I would have just said very gracefully, you know what, something feels very off to me, and in this space, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's me and I'm wrong, or if this is just not something I'm properly aligned to. Like, you know, I don't know. So I'm going to step back until I figure that out. And in the future, like, that's definitely how I will handle things and how I have been handling things since that experience, because it's so easy to get, you know, confused with intuitive promptings when you're very emotionally invested or attached to a person, the situation, or the outcome of something. All right, so let's pull some tarot dice. All right, so we have the Seven of Cups right here. So yep, Sagittarius, that's why Spirit had me share that story, because you guys are doing the same exact thing about something in your life. And I feel with the Tower coming out that what you thought, or what you came up with in your head about what you were feeling intuitively is not right, or you found out was completely wrong. Yeah, Sagittarius, I just feel like you were in my same boat because look, here's the King of Cups. So could involve a water sign, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I'm a water sign, so I feel like this is also me sharing my story with you because it like somehow relates to something that you've been sensing and feeling in your life, and you can't quite figure it out, or you want to be wrong in what you're truly feeling, or other people are telling you that something's wrong with you, and maybe you need to elevate your energy or something like that, like people were telling me. And you know, this is just what I gotta say, Sagittarius. You know, people that you are attached to and claim to be spiritual, you know, if they're so spiritual and they know you so well, then, you know, they'll understand you and they'll be able to trust in when you say, hey, something feels off to me, that you're not just being dramatic or drama. Like, that's really you speaking from your soul, okay? And, you know, if they can't meet you on that level, like the people I was working with couldn't meet me on that level, then you don't need them in your life. They're no good for you, okay? Also, people who claim to be incredibly sensitive and empathic, if you're going through that, but they're not sensing and spirit's not giving them any message that something's coming up in your life and that's why this is going on, then again, they're just BS and you don't need them, okay? Because anybody who is like a true soulmate to you, Spirit's going to give them messages about what you're going through as you're going through it to help support you through it, okay? If it's somebody who's always trying to tell you something's just wrong with you, and not really support you and just take and get what they can get from you, you don't need that in your life, okay? And so for some of you, I really feel like that's what's been going on. Like, you're trying to connect emotionally and spiritually to other like-minded individuals such as yourself who claim to be, you know, psychics, mediums, card readers, healers, etc. And, you know, you connect on some level to some degree, but it's just like there's something off in the dynamic and you're sensing it and you have been sensing it, and it's like, I don't know, for some reason it's like you don't want to believe your own intuition. And like, you're right about it though, Sagittarius, and you might not be able to put your finger precisely on details, but you are right, you are not wrong, okay? And painful lesson is, I just feel that instead of really trusting you, even if you can't understand it in that moment, and just letting it go until more information from spirit comes in, like, you know, you get really balled up and then it turns into a painful lesson because the whole time spirit's just leading you back to your own divinity. And it's like, Sagittarius, you know, you guys are one of the most spiritual signs of the zodiac. The ninth house is higher spirituality, higher learning, and you guys are the wounded healer. You have amazing healing ability and capacity. And you've just really got to be in tune and trust yourself all the way through, regardless of what somebody's saying or doing. And otherwise you get this painful lesson because it's like you don't know to the degree and depth of your power, your gift, Sagittarius. And there's other people who I feel will want to, you know, learn, or not learn from that, like take from that or benefit from that, you know. It's just, it's unfortunate, but trust yourself, no matter how spiritually gifted other people involved claim to be, because again, I learned that the hard way, painful lesson, but fast forward several months and I see it for what it is. Okay, so on the Seven of Cups, we have the Ace of Swords. Yup, Sag, look at that. Here's where you're all caught up in your mind, but here is that clarity where you just listen to your soul and boom, you're right. On the Tower, we have the King of Swords. And you know what? This could involve an air sign, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, but this to me, just because it's the swords and we have the Ace of Swords here, is your energy, Sagittarius, and that shift where you decide to just trust you, and the butterfly there representing that transformation, because you're right, you are. Next out is the Hermit sitting on top of this Five of Pentacles. And I kind of feel with this, Sagittarius, maybe keep your future plans and goals and your next move to yourself. Also, that's about, you know, soul searching and quieting the mind, going to the mountaintop, separating yourself from everything and finding the answers and the clarity and the insights, okay, with through this Ace of Swords. Like, that's there for you, man. That's so beautiful. Like, Sagittarius, this is like your confusion, your you know, lack of being able to decipher and going into this painful lesson, and now here's the transformation of you going into this owl energy, and boom, it's all right here, your intuition, your insight, and you following that through. And you know, you won't always have all the answers right up front, but as long as you trust your vibes, and when anyone or anything is just setting you off, they're bad juju to you, okay? They're not a good fit for you, and you need to just disconnect and cut off. Some of you, that might involve a Virgo with the Hermit. Next out, we have this Two of Wands, and that's coming out on top of this King of Cups. And to me, that's exactly what I've been saying, is this is the mastery that you're coming into, this right here, where you are the King of Swords, which is the mastery of the mental body, like the connection to the higher realm, okay? And also the master of your emotional body, your intuition, and your empathic abilities, okay? The Two of Wands, the mastering, and you see like how this figure is standing in between, holding both, the master of both, you know, the master of your world there. And it's like in that space, Sagittarius, it's like it doesn't matter anymore. You are going to trust you, and that's going to be that, and that's exactly what you need to do. So let's pull one final card here for you guys. And I feel like since that one was jumping out, it is time to shine. Creates the energetic resonance for golden opportunities. This is where you're at, Sagittarius. And look at the painful lesson. It's a golden apple. And so to me, that is very synchronistic, golden opportunities, where you were once having these painful lessons, and now they're golden opportunities. And I really feel like Spirit had this card come out just because the apple in that picture is gold, okay? And so it's showing you what was, not listening to your inner promptings, and Spirit always leading you back to yourself, to trust yourself, to believe in yourself. And finally, the energy shifting in the month of August, and now it's opportunities instead of painful lessons, okay? Because you've been through too much, and you've mastered the mental and emotional aspects of yourself, okay? And so it's like what fooled you in the past or confused you in the past, it can't happen anymore. Like, you just see it for what it is. And since you have such a control over your emotional body, it's like you can't be emotionally swayed or emotionally manipulated again, as where in the past you very well may have been easily manipulated by certain individuals. All right, so Sagittarius, those are your messages. I'm wishing you all the best. Take care.